Thank you so much, Josephine, Jack, Maisha, and Sean, for your fantastic presentations. You gave us such excellent insight into your lives in Tajikistan and what you learned from your NSLI program. We're so impressed and thankful for all that you shared. Audience members, we'd like to open it up to you. Please feel free. There's been an excellent discussion already happening in the chat box. Please feel free to go ahead and continue typing your questions in the chat box. And at this time, I'd like to invite our 4 presenters to turn their cameras back on, and we're going to go ahead and switch into discussion mode and we have about 15 minutes for the Q&A.
I guess we could just answer questions as they pop up.
So do you want us to talk more about the Russian influence versus the Persian influence?
I mean, the influence from Russia was strong because all the TV came from Russia. Everyone got their news from Russia. And I mean, I don't know, I didn't really feel that much Iranian influence compared to Russian influence. But I mean, it's definitely there, just not in the same amount.
And then to answer Ted's question about what qualities are most important for having a successful summer in Tajikistan, I'd say that the most important quality you could have to be successful on the program is to be outgoing. Even if you're not, it really helps to seek out the language wherever you can find it. Otherwise, you're not going to get a lot of practice outside the classroom. Even in the classroom, you're not getting the kind of exposure you need to get good at Tajiki. So I'd say, I'd say the most important quality you could have, or at least try to have, is be outgoing while you're there.
Also to be patient and to be willing to try new things, because like Sean said, things in Tajikistan go like a lot more slowly than we might be used to here in the U.S. So I think you just have to be willing to accept the differences in terms of time or culture, just to be willing to accept differences, I guess.
And to answer Hannah's question, what was the most difficult part of my experience? So for me personally, I got really sick in Tajikistan, and that was my most difficult part, just like staying healthy. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of participants.
And for Mackenzie, between this program or Russian summer, I might be biased, but I would probably go with the Tajik program. Because you're in the capital of Tajikistan, you go up into the mountains, you can do different trips, you can really experience it more. I obviously haven't been on the Russian program, but it seems, in my opinion, that the Russian program, you're kind of stuck in a smaller Russian city. A lot of people in the Russian program, they write about how they really like sitting in their family's garden. So, I don't know, that's just what I saw. In Tajikistan, I feel like you get out more and you can really experience more of the country.
And then to answer Jason's question, none of us spoke any Tajiki at the beginning of the program.
And then to answer Steven's question, so Farsi is so Farsi is like if you are an American speaking English, that's what Farsi sounds like to people. And then if you're an American and you have, this is a hard analogy to bring, but so if I was a Tajiki speaker speaking to you, Steven, a Farsi speaker, me speaking to you would sound like, in English, a Scot speaking to an American, and the Tajik being the person from Scotland. And so there's a lot of intelligibility. Farsi words differ, and the structure of the language is different, but there's a lot of mutual intelligibility between the two languages. They're very similar, and Dari and Tajiki even more so. So, like I said, I had a couple Afghan friends, and I could understand pretty much whatever they were saying in Dari, as long as within my vocabulary in Tajiki.
To answer Ted's question about the Arabic program, I actually had a really hard time. This might answer some other questions about choosing the Tajiki program over others. I had a really hard time choosing between Tajiki and Arabic, but I eventually chose Tajiki because I thought, like, maybe I'll have a chance to go to an Arabic-speaking country in the future on my own, but I feel like it's so much harder to get to Tajikistan. And also, I'm planning on applying for the Arabic Academic Year Scholarships, and NSLI-Y offers summer scholarships and academic year scholarships, and currently there's no academic year program for Tajiki. So I am thinking about trying out the Arabic program in the future, but I just chose Tajiki because it was such a unique program, it's such a unique country, and I thought it would be really interesting to see what that was all about.
And to answer Taylor and Grace's questions, so from the program, I've taken away, I guess, mostly just learning the culture of Tajikistan, and I actually also learned more more about myself in the program, and I think that I'll use Tajiki not like as an everyday basis, but just communicating with my host family and hoping to study Tajiki in some other way.
Yeah, I mean, Tajiki it's great for talking to your host families, and you can communicate back and forth with them, and it's also kind of a jumping point for other Persian kind of studies. As Jack was saying, Farsi and Tajiki, it's kind of weird. You know, I tried talking some Tajiki to Farsi speakers. There's just kind of some weird looks and sort of nods. But it kind of sets you on the path, at least for me, because at least there's a big demand for Farsi speakers and Persian speakers of all kinds. So I think that's what I took away from the program.
To answer Thomas's question, for me, Dushanbe doesn't give a big city vibe compared to other big cities around the world, but compared to like little cities around Tajikistan, it definitely does. So we went to Panjikent, which is a 5-hour drive away from Dushanbe. We went there for a weekend excursion, and I think you don't notice the differences between Dushanbe and another city until you step out of Dushanbe. Panjikent definitely had a different feel to it. So Dushanbe doesn't necessarily have a big city vibe, but you can definitely tell that it's the capital city versus other towns that you might see around Tajikistan.
I think, Jack, your photo of the river kind of had downtown all in it. So
yeah, no, it's not a booming metropolis. It's not very big at all.
And then for Jason's question, we didn't get dropped in Tajikistan with no prior knowledge, I guess. Before you start the program, if you don't speak any of the language, NSLI does send you some like learning stuff with basic like verb conjugation, some basic vocabulary. For me, I think the first week was just kind of like picking out like individual words every couple sentences. Oh, I know what that word means. Like I learned it from MPPLC, which is the pre-departure stuff. But I think after the first week, you definitely start to understand sentences, and then once you start living with your host family, you definitely notice a lot more understanding, a lot more comprehension in terms of speaking.
And then to
answer Roger's question.
No, go ahead, Maisha.
Roger's question. Yeah, okay, thanks, Jack. The pronunciation isn't that difficult. I know one of the participants, one of my friends, she struggled a little bit, just like some of the deep throat sounding.
Caitlin, this is for you.
Sorry. But yeah, Caitlin, for you. But overall, like I don't think it was that difficult for us as a group.
I mean, compared to just watching Russian television and kind of going off that with the Cyrillic alphabet, Tajik kind of seemed to flow a bit smoother and was a lot easier to read than the Cyrillic and the Russian.
But yeah, pronunciation's not really a big deal, and if you're there, you'll notice a lot of people leave out a lot of the sounds you're taught are really different in the alphabet, like the guttural like sound that Josephine was talking about earlier. A lot of people, since most people speak better Russian than Tajiki, like we were mentioning earlier, it's just kind of made a resurgence in Tajikistan. A lot of people still leave out a lot of the sounds that are more traditionally associated with Persian languages. Especially, maybe not so much your host family or your teachers, you won't notice it as much. People in the city who generally speak Russian on a daily basis, it's pretty easy to understand. The pronunciation isn't really an issue.
And then Joseph's question, if host families typically invite you to worship with them. My host family was Uzbek, and they were a lot more Soviet, so they were Muslim, but they didn't practice that much. None of my family was fasting during Ramadan. Maybe Maisha, you probably answered wrong to the question better since you were practicing.
Well, for me personally, since I'm a Muslim and my family was Muslim, I mean, like, my host family, like, didn't really invite me to worship with them. It was just, like, on my own. I would pray. They never even said, like,
and then to answer Taylor's question on kind of a funny note,
even as a Muslim, they would never
sort of. So kids in Tajikistan are, well, expected age that you marry at is between like 16 to like 21 is when most people get married in Tajikistan. So probably the most shocking moment I had there was during Eid al-Fitr, the end of Ramadan celebration. I was proposed to, and my host family thought it was ridiculous, but they're pretty progressive. But I told a couple people, and they were like, "So what? I mean, that's pretty normal, man. How old are you?" I said, "I was 16." So I think that the whole concept of the really early marriage was kind of shocking, and that yes, I was proposed to. I'm not married now. I do not accept.
To answer Ted's question, okay, yeah, there were other Americans. The American Embassy had a 4th of July barbecue, so when we were there, we interacted with some Americans there. Also, there's CLS, which is critical language. What is it? Something. Yeah, scholarship. The kids from that, they were college students.
Really like
they were there for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But we didn't
It was like, it seemed like in downtown Dushanbe, like a lot of coincidental like bump-ins with a lot of people that were from the U.S. I mean, because I'd be out with my host family and be like, oh, hey, saw you at the embassy thing or whatever. But it's a smaller city.
Really interesting. The community, I guess, of Americans in Tajikistan, they're definitely, the people that have been living there for a long time, they're definitely like a really tightly knit group, I guess. Like, most of the Americans in Tajikistan know all the other Americans, especially our resident director, Jamie. She knows, like, everybody in Tajikistan. So it was really interesting to see, like, the other Americans there, because there's people that are still living there that we keep in touch with in Tajikistan that are American.
And host family-wise, everyone was in Dushanbe. A couple of us, I was in the city center. I know, Jack, you were in the city center. A couple of people were farther out. I don't think it was more than like half hour out at max, I think. No one's outside of Dushanbe because Dushanbe is kind of the place to be for everything. So.
In terms of major cultural differences, I don't think there's anything very huge. I mean, there's like subtle things. Some families that are more religious or more traditional, you might not want to touch anything with your left hand. Or pointing your feet at anybody. That's a big thing for some families. But I don't think there's anything huge that I can think of off the top of my head.
And to Ted, the melons were pretty good.
Melons very tasty, way better than anything you'll get here.
Ben tried to take one home to the States.
Yeah,
He got caught in customs.
He made it through 3 countries. He made it through Istanbul right after the coup happened, Frankfurt, and then we got to D.C. and we were getting off the airplane, and they took it from him, and they sliced it in half in front of him.
Okay, well, on that note, I think we're going to have to wrap this up. It's all been such a lively discussion. Again, we're so appreciative to our NSLI alumni for your presentation. Before we go, I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen back to the screen sharing mode. We just wanted to end with a few great resources with you all. So the first we just wanted to bring attention to is, of course, the NSLI-Y website. This is where you can learn more about the NSLI program, including how to apply. The application for the 2017-2018 programs is now available, and completed applications must be submitted by October 27, 2016 at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can visit that website listed in the PowerPoint for more information and for the complete application. The next resource listed on that screen is NSLI-Y Interactive, which showcases the language learning and cross-cultural experiences of NSLI-Y students and alumni through their stories and multimedia. We'll be posting the recording of this virtual event within the next week on NSLI-Y Interactive, so anyone who is not able to attend can still enjoy these presentations. And just an announcement for our next virtual event to be held next month with current Hindi academic year students. So keep an eye on NSLI-Y Interactive for more information on that event. I'd like to once more say a big thank you to our incredible NSLI-Y student speakers, to Josephine, Jack, Maisha, and Sean. Thank you again for your presentations, and thank you everyone for attending this virtual event. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.